So before this generation started, we were bombarded with news and so-called experts who claimed that we were witnessing the last console generation. This was going to be it. The PS4 and the Xbox One weren't going to be able to replicate the success of the PS3 and the 360. And people were moving away from consoles, moving into mobile, and so this was just going to be it. But 2 years into the generation's console cycle, we now know that the experts were full of it. And both systems are currently outpacing their predecessors, the PS3 and the 360, when it comes to sales. But with Sony running away with the sales lead, just yesterday it was announced PS4 won November in NPD. Some have questioned whether or not Microsoft has the stomach to deliver a new system in the future, or whether or not this is going to be it. Phil Spencer was asked, as televisions, computers, and smart devices become the all-in-one devices that seek to displace consoles, does Xbox just become an app or a storefront or a brand? Phil responded, "No, I fully expect that you'll see another console from us. Our best customers are Xbox console customers, and I want to keep those people engaged both on the Xbox One and anything we might do in the future. I'm 100% committed to that." So, that sounds like they are for sure going to be delivering a new console. And they may actually already be in the stages of starting to come up with plans for that, because they do that several years in advance. And in recent weeks, we've also heard CEO Satya Nadella claim that Xbox was an important cornerstone in the Microsoft business, and that they were going to be doubling down on the brand with no thoughts of selling it or getting out. So if a new system is on the way, the question is, when will it get here and what should it do? So for starters, I really wouldn't be surprised if we saw something after 5 or 6 years. I just don't think this generation is going to last as long as the 360 and the PS3 did, which they've been going on for like a decade now. But look at Nintendo. They came out with the Wii U. I'm just guessing here. I think it was like back in 2012 or something like that. And they're already getting ready to come out with a new system next year. So I just see these systems coming out with a new version a lot sooner than what we waited for as far as the Xbox One and the PS4. As far as what it has to bring to the table, number one, the narrative almost this entire generation, whether you like it or not, has been power. And that goes for Microsoft more so, but it also goes for PlayStation 4. Everybody has complained about how far these systems were behind where PC gaming was whenever these systems first came out, And so many games are failing to hit 60 frames per second still. And even if they do hit 60, then they're still having trouble with it a lot of times. And I got to tell you, going from PC gaming, which I've been doing a lot of lately, all the way back to 30 frames per second is such a jarring experience. I can't stand it. It makes me not even want to play some of the games because there is so much of a difference, and it's just so much smoother. And so PC gaming, a lot of times, depending on your rig, of course, is more than 60 frames per second. So with the next generation consoles, there should be absolutely no reason, and in fact, there should be no reason this generation why games can't hit 60 frames per second. It's just a huge distinction between 30 and 60. And number two, out of the gate, the next Xbox needs to be able to do everything the Xbox One can currently do and more. And I hit Microsoft early on whenever they first released the Xbox One, because I said, how can you release a system that's further behind the 360? It was missing so many features that the 360 had. And it was almost inconceivable at the time for me to see somebody release a new product that's basically a downgrade from your previous console. Now, in my opinion, they've turned it around and they've made it a lot better machine. I like my Xbox One now a lot more than I liked my 360, but that's not the way to do it. You don't build it over time. You need to have that thing ready to go at launch. And the next Xbox One needs to launch with everything that the Xbox One can do and more. Number three, backwards compatibility. It has to be compatible with Xbox One games that are currently out, especially if you're going to push the date up and move it out, closer to time. And if it is this 5 to 6 year span, then you've got to be able to play the games that you've currently purchased on your previous console if you're going to roll them out a lot sooner than we waited around last time for. And also, I think 360 games need to still be playable as well, especially if they're playable now on your Xbox One. And so that way, whenever you release a new console, you've got a ton of games that you can go ahead and jump to, because at the start of a life cycle, there's always a little bit slimmer library when it comes to games. So that way, at least, people can still jump over and enjoy all the games that they've previously played. And on top of that, you still got to bring new features. And one thing that I really wouldn't mind is basically having my system be a PC in my living room. We know that mouse and keyboard support is coming to the Xbox One. I hope they go ahead and do it with the Xbox One. But I wouldn't mind also being able to upgrade it, or being able to boot straight to a screen that looks like my PC. And I mean, I know that may not be in everybody's wheelhouse, but I'd still be up for it. And then that way I can play Steam or whatever games that I want to on my console in any room that I choose, where I don't have to be strapped down to my PC. And for me, I would rather have features and options over not having them. So post below, what features would you like to see, and when do you think we'll see a new Xbox show up?